Okay.
There you go. You're coming live on Facebook.
So now the question is it sending out the Zoom feed?
It is on Facebook. I'm not getting it on YouTube yet. There we go. And we're live on both. So we probably should share a screen that says starting at 6 o'clock. Or we can start chatting away so people can listen to us and watch us. Although I don't think there's anybody there right now.
Right. And Kim, is there going to be a link for us to grab to put on our Facebook pages? I was trying to tell Nick that so he can put it on his, so he didn't have to figure out a workaround.
For anyone who is viewing their YouTube channel, for example, Nick or Derek, make sure that you mute the stream coming from the delayed broadcast on Facebook and YouTube, because otherwise you're going to get an echo effect.
I don't see Nick. Nick was going to come back. He popped
Yeah.
off. And maybe we can tell him when he comes back.
So to share the Facebook Live, I just put the link directly to that stream so that can be shared anywhere on Facebook. Or you can go to it on Facebook and share it from there.
This is probably easier and quicker from me. Is it on our page, Kim, or should I put it on our page in the KC Regional Housing Alliance? Or where should I put it? Do you want me to do any of that?
I can go ahead and do that.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to send, well, Nick will come on early. And so we'll just make sure to tell him about the echo and all that. So
what? I guess I have to.
Okay, so Zoom is seeing here.
Okay, here's a shorter link, maybe.
Oh, good. Because the one you had for our thing was short. I remember that much.
Okay. Shall I end this stream?
Well, if you want, if you're comfortable with it going live, or we could just share a video, a slide that says we will be starting at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop this stream. I'm going to go back to restream.
Okay, then those links are no good, Stacy.
Okay, so I will wait. And so, okay, I will wait. And so when would be the right time to put them on there? Like about 10 till, you think?
I think if we could take it live at like 5 till, that would be good. But
okay,
that's up to Eddie, whatever he thinks, or we could, what we've done in the past is just, we have a screen, we're sharing a screen that says we start at 6 o'clock.
Is that screen placed on Zoom? If so, I can create that now. Is that shown on Zoom, Kim?
Yeah, it would share on Zoom that we're starting at 6 o'clock. It would be the shared Zoom.
Oh, that's right. Hello. Okay, my brain. I'm thinking too hard, too much. Okay. All right. Let me do that. I'll go to.
Did we make that already? Did we already make it?
No, not that one. Not starting at 6 p.m. We haven't done that. So I'll do that. I can do that real quickly.
The question that I have here now is how to terminate the
so where you went to go live, you say the same spot and stop live stream.
All right. Is that inside of Restream or inside?
Oh, you don't want to stop it, because if you stop it, we're going to have to start a whole new Zoom.
Oh,
I was doing that the other day. It would make me have to restart. So let's leave it on and just share a screen.
Okay. That's a good idea. And then in post, like once the event is done, YouTube has a trimming feature that we can trim. Okay. So I've got a Restream window that's open. And then we've got the YouTube page that's open. And I can see the Zoom screen. So what I'm going to have to do is grab, let's see, I want to simplify this. 1, 2. So I've got my top screen is Zoom, and then my bottom screen is going to be Facebook, YouTube, And my top screen is Zoom. And then my bottom screen is going to be YouTube and Facebook. Okay, what's this one here? Okay, that one's there. And now I've got Restream here. Okay. Enter Live Studio, no setup required, user built-in webcam. No. Okay. When we go live and the speakers are talking, it would be nice if we can mute. Stacy, maybe you can mention that if you have any background noises, just make sure folks mute themselves. When we open up for Q&A, then folks can unmute themselves.
Well, the Q&A for the most part is going to be through Derek and Nick, unless they want to call an audible and say, hey, we can take a couple in real life. So they
Okay.
do that a chat, and they're going to ask the questions. But there may be an opportunity if we have enough time, and depending on how it looks and feels, if they want to do it that way.
Okay. So we've got Zoom, Restream. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's see.
Let's have Stacy share her screen, her slide that says we're starting at 6.
Sounds good.
Okay, ready for that? Okay, let me pull it up. Let me get here.
From your browser. No. Oh, this is interesting.
How do I, let's see, get that off?
If you go to view, full screen.
Slideshow, current slide.
Hey,
Oh, man, I got it wrong.
Stacy, that that caption or the hashtag, it looked like it had some text that was cut off on the bottom.
I see that, so I need to figure that out.
Okay. Dashboard.
I don't think I can fix that.
This is interesting. The only way I can get access to the lower thirds is if I'm in the live studio, in the Restream live studio. That means that there's only a camera on me. So it looks like these lower thirds are inaccessible in Zoom. Kim, any insight on that? I mean, this is the first time we're testing this out in this capacity. I was able to test it with me as the main screen, but when we go back to Zoom, I'm no longer inside of the live studio because we're pulling the video from Zoom. So on the side, I no longer have access to the captions. They're no longer there. Events.
I don't know anything about captions, so you're not asking the right person.
How do we get the captions? This is a good question.
I just did a regular Zoom meeting, normal, whatever we normally did. I just streamed them live on Facebook and on YouTube.
Let me think about this.
Because we're going to have, it's a quarter till, so we'll have people coming on shortly, so we can, I guess, decide if the captions are important or if we just need to not have them.
Yeah, I think we can, for now, we can just scrap it. It's not vital. It's just eye candy, but it would be, I'm going to have to reach out to Restream to see how this can work. It works if you have, if the camera's on you. Like, for example, if I'm broadcasting from Restream using the Live Studio function, I then have access to the lower thirds. When we're going through Zoom, it no longer is there.
And that might be the captions are if you're broadcasting your event not through Zoom, but from Restream,
Correct.
which I
Correct.
have no.
Yes, we can go from Zoom to Restream, but we cannot go from Restream to Zoom, unfortunately.
Oh, well, we will get started. We can hang out and wait till 5 o'clock and we'll just
Yes,
go
of course.
from there.
Or 6 o'clock. You're mixing me up with time. That's so funny, Kim. We have somebody that's on here. Peter is in Boston, and he thought we started at 5 o'clock our time. He thought that was 6 o'clock. And so these time zones are gonna hurt me there a little bit. So
I'm either always an hour early or an hour late to most of the events that aren't in Kansas City. I love it when the person's in the same time zone as me because then I get it right.
right. I just take it for granted. So
Or I get the wrong day.
now that's a different story, Kim. That's a different issue. The days. Okay, and so what do I have? What do I need? And so do we have the links for live for Facebook and YouTube then? Can we get those, the short ones for those?
I'm sorry, what was that, Stacey?
Oh, can we get the links then to go live from Facebook and YouTube from our pages, like in the chat again?
Yeah, they're inside the chat.
I thought we had to update them.
I'm going to grab it.
No, we didn't stop going live because if we did, we would have had to start this whole Zoom thing all over again.
Oh, okay, that's okay. So we're here.
So you can actually grab the links for YouTube and Facebook in the chat, in the Zoom chat. They're there, which Kim kindly provided.
Okay, the short one for Facebook, I see the long one, and then the one for YouTube. Okay, that's beautiful. So anybody can just place those on any of their channels and we're live.
Mm-hmm.
That just is amazing to me. That is amazing.
It is pretty cool. Let's see, that was March 29th. And this one here.
So where are we time-wise? So we're at
14 minutes.
Okay.
Let's see what I can do here. Yeah, that's I'm the host. So I'm showing up in the Restream. Let me show you what I see here. Share screen. This will stop sharing other screen. Actually, no, let me cancel that.
I want to make sure we didn't have any last minute signups.
Stacy, I'm going to make you the host again. Just make me the co-host.
Okay.
All right, just make me a co-host. Actually, no, hold on. Let me not do that because I don't want to break anything. I'm going to cancel that.
Okay, no breaking. Okay,
what I'm seeing right now in Restream is that it's got your placeholder NHPC with the hashtag and then the green ball starting at 6 p.m. Whoever talks, placeholder NHPC with the hashtag and then the green ball starting at 6 p.m. Whoever talks, placeholder NHPC with the hashtag and then the green ball starting at 6 p.m. Whoever talks, placeholder NHPC with the hashtag and then the green ball starting at 6 p.m. Whoever talks, placeholder. Yeah, that's the loop I was talking about. Hashtag and then the green ball starting at 6 p.m. Whoever talks, placeholder. Yeah, that's the loop I was talking about. Stacy, can you mute yourself real quick?
yes.
Yeah, that's the loop I was talking about. Okay, that seemed to have killed it. All right. Restream will show whoever is talking as a little postage stamp size in the top right corner. Restream will show whoever is talking as a little postage stamp size in the top right corner. Restream will show whoever is talking as a little postage stamp size in the top right corner. Restream will show whoever is talking as a little. I have a question.
Yes.
Is anyone hearing the loop?
I was, but it was Roger, and so I muted Roger and the loop stopped. Because Roger had Facebook or YouTube up in the background and it was playing. At least I think it was Roger.
I thought that was Eddie because I heard it over and over and over. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought Eddie was playing over because I made a little sound in the background, then I heard that on the replay.
Well, if we've got Facebook or YouTube up, we've got to make sure that if the video is playing, that the sound is turned off or it's going to play over YouTube or over Zoom.
Is that fixed on our end or is that on Eddie's end?
I think whoever has a browser, the YouTube or Facebook, and is also connected on Zoom is going to get that loop. So either you're on Zoom, or if you're monitoring YouTube and Facebook, you're going to have to mute the Facebook and Facebook video feeds. Nick, we can't hear you.
Hear me?
Yes.
Do we have a countdown happening right now? Because I just logged into the YouTube site and I don't see a countdown for the.
9 minutes.
Do you see our screen that says starting at 6? Is that up on the YouTube page, Nick? Do you see?
I'm not on the YouTube page right now. I'm actually on the. Let me go back to the Facebook page.
We should be live on Facebook and YouTube right now, and that screen should be up. Our screensaver. I mean, our. Oh, good.
Okay, I see it on
Yes.
Facebook. Let me see on YouTube.
Stacy, it is on YouTube. Yes, the placeholder's there. So the feed is on YouTube. I've muted my audio feed for YouTube so I don't get a loop. And now I'm going to bring up the Facebook page just to confirm what's going on there.
And earlier, Eddie, when Nick was gone, you mentioned something about muting or turning volume down on YouTube. Is there anything he needs to know? He's going to be monitoring comments on YouTube. If there
Yes,
are any.
Nick. If you are going to be monitoring one or both or either page, make sure the video feed is muted.
That's exactly what I'm doing. That's why I'm testing it out right now.
Okay, great.
And perfect. I just saw that we're actually live on the YouTube page as well. So
okay,
perfect.
So right now the audio loop, the feedback loop is taken care of. It's not a problem.
Perfect.
Okay. And watch here. Okay. 7 minutes.
It's the final countdown. I wish to have music.
You can play music if you wish.
You know what I learned? I tried to Google how to do that. And I need to.
You could just open a YouTube page, pick a song.
Nah, we just have a few minutes. I'll learn that for next time, Eddie. Next time. You know, I guess that is right. Because I had Pandora playing, but then I just need to learn it.
Let's see.
I'm trying to be like Kim. If Kim
I think
knows something, give her a little time. If she knows it, she becomes the master, just like that. I'm trying to be like her.
I think I can grab some music. What kind of music do you want?
Oh, no, we only have a few minutes. We don't really need any unless you actually have time. But if you're working on something else
No,
for
I'm
today, that's
good.
more important.
No, unfortunately, I was busy with the captions, but unfortunately, because of the nature of the Zoom and Restream connecting with each other, we don't have captions. Because I'm not the, if I was broadcasting just myself from Restream, then I'd have access to the captions. But because we're going through Zoom,
Mhm.
we lose that ability in Restream.
Okay, we learn for this time and learn for next time.
Yeah,
Next time
there.
we'll do it all.
I did see that there's a third-party caption solution for Zoom, so I'm gonna have to do research into that. But what I can help with monitoring the Facebook page or the YouTube page now that we're live.
Mhm. I think we're good on those.
I
Derek
think
has
Derek got the Facebook page. I got the YouTube page, and we're gonna
Derek.
crisscross on the chat.
Okay, Derek, can you confirm that you've got Facebook?
Is he back? I don't think he's back yet, is he?
I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm back. Yep. Yep, I've got it. I've got it up right now. I'm on.
In just a minute. Again, I'm gonna mute myself. I'll be right back on.
Okay, we have a few minutes.
I just posted in the NHPC Facebook page that the chat thread that will be starting in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And let's see. I see Kim's chat message in YouTube.
Okie dokie. And I see Peter's still here. We need to talk to Peter
All
in
right.
Boston.
Folks are coming in.
Mhm.
Kim, it's a good idea that we can explain to all the presenters for this evening to have their slides or PDF documents that they're going to share on screen, that when they're ready to do so, when they're speaking, they will share their screen. And then once they're done, just to turn off screen sharing, and then it should go back to the group. And the moderator here is Stacy.
That's right.
So we're gonna have to do our own slides then.
Yes, unfortunately, that is the case. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
I think they're all prepared. I think everybody's okay with that. I asked them in advance. I think they're good with that. Next time we can be fancy. Okay, we can be super fancy next time and just do all kinds of different things. And today's a good experience for us.
I cannot share screen. Okay.
Wait, is that Tim?
Oh, let me stop. If somebody needs to test it, I can stop. Is somebody trying to test?
Is that Tim?
I don't know.
It was Roger.
Roger.
Okay, so I'm stopping. If you want to test it, Roger, I'm off.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
No, Kim knows exactly who's doing what.
Knows everything.
I'm really good at following the yellow dots around the screen
It's like Hollywood Squares.
because I'm used to having 75 people
Oh
at
my.
that screen.
Try to keep track of them.
Okay, we'll be starting in 2 minutes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on Eventbrite really quickly and make sure that everybody has the Zoom link to get on, because we had a few people even registering in the last few minutes. So please give me a little time to do that. And that's opening how many people registered today. So let me do that. Copy. Where am I? Right.
Kim, can you see that? You're muted.
Yes, it works, Roger. We can see it.
Yes, we see it. There's a bit of a lag between Facebook and YouTube, but it's definitely there. Nice job, man.
How do I kill the sharing now? Stop sharing.
If you go back to your Zoom window, the top
I
should
got
have
it.
a little cool.
Uh-oh, uh-oh,
Oh,
uh-oh. There's something on my end here. I hate having to say that. I just lost something. Okay. We ended up with 76 people.
wow.
Some of that just happened, not like today, but just recently. So I'm going to make sure all of them have the link right now.
I like Kim's background. That's pretty cool.
I want to see it. I can't see it. I want to see it.
Roger, I like that background. The beach.
Let's see.
Just figured out how to do this. My computer, I got a new computer, so now I'm able to have backgrounds. I couldn't do it before.
That's cool. You got quite a few of them there. Derek, I love yours. Can't wait to get to the beach. Tracy's here. Oh my God, Tracy. Stacy, your sister's here.
Who's Tracy? Is she? Where is she? Where's she? How do you know? Where did you see her? I don't see her. Tracy, where are you?
I'm right here.
That's awesome.
Tracy. And so a lot of real estate people know her too, because she does real estate safety training, like personal safety training for real estate agents. And she does that across the country. So, and she's known as Tracy the Safety Lady. Okay, so we may do a couple more, give a couple more minutes. I think it's 6 o'clock. We may do a couple more minutes because I just shared the Zoom link again for those people who just registered recently. And if anybody comes in after the fact, I think we're in trouble. Okay, are we all here? Our committee, I think everyone is here.
Yes, if everyone could just mute your phones or put it on airport.
Phones and laptops and computers too. Okay, and I think all speakers are here, so we'll get started. Let me take one more minute and then we'll get started. Eddie, how did you know that was Tracy, my sister Tracy?
Well, it says Tracy, the safety lady.
Oh, I told you that before. Okay, I was saying it.
Yeah.
You couldn't see her. Okay. See. Okay. I think if all speakers are here and ready, Heiner's in place, Roger's in place, Kim is in place, committee is here, Eddie, Derek, Nick, all of us are here. Alicia, I want to get that right, Ortiz. Hey, Alicia, you're here.
Okay. Tim said that he's watching on YouTube.
Okay. Hey, Tim. And so hopefully he'll be able to do introductions. All right, so I think I am ready to go. Is everybody, the committee, are we ready to go? All right, let's go.
Good to go.
Okay, let's go. Welcome, everybody. We wanted to thank you for being with us today. My name is Stacy Johnson Cosby. I'm one of the founders of the National Housing Providers Coalition. We are a new alliance, and we started just in the late fall. And what our goal is to speak with one voice across the country for all small to medium independent housing providers. What we've noticed is there is not a voice for us. There are voices around us with, realtors and the what we call the big boys and all of the other sectors of our housing industry, but not specifically a voice for the independent housing providers. So our goal is to be that voice. And we've just started and we are building. And so we welcome anyone who fits into this category to join us. This is our very first event. And you're welcome to join us. We have our Facebook page, and we're live on that page at this moment. We're live across our YouTube channel. And if you are interested in being on our email list and tracking us and following us on our website, NHP, National Housing Providers Coalition, NHPC.org, is a contact and a volunteer form. And we ask you to please reach us there so that we can keep you posted on what we're doing. Our goal is to do this event on a regular basis. We're not sure yet if that means every month, every other month, or once a quarter. That'll be up to us collectively to determine how frequently we want to meet and provide information. And we ask you also not only to share how frequently you want information, but what kind of topics you're interested in. What do you need to hear from that you may not be getting elsewhere through other organizations that you're a part of? And so another reminder that this event is live across Facebook and across YouTube. And in the chat, you can actually grab the links in chat and put them on your Facebook pages or on your organization's Facebook or YouTube pages. Those links are in the chat. And so those are for you to do that. And I think that's another way for us to reach more people than the ones that are on Zoom with us or in our audience otherwise. And so again, we welcome you to do that and we thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask all of the members of our committee who are on this call to please introduce yourself. And I'm going to start with Kim Tucker. And if you can tell us what state you're in, the organization you're in, and share your name if you would.
Kim Tucker. I am serving Kansas and Missouri. My organization personally is Mid-America Association of Real Estate Investors. I am also a member of our Kansas City Alliance, KC Regional Housing Alliance.
Right, and something about Kim is the reason we are all here today. She started watching the tenant movement across the country. Many of us see the tenant activist movement, and they have a clear voice and a clear message. And Kim kept saying, we don't have that and we need that. And that's the reason we are building this organization, to give us a clear message across the country, to make sure that our voices are heard as well, and that we can speak with one voice, which is why we're interested in growing our group. So many thanks to Kim for that. Nick, you're up next, if you can introduce yourself.
My name is Nick Sakalis. I'm a landlord and advocate for housing providers here in New York. I have a real estate radio show here on WGBB locally, and I've been doing everything I can in order to help support the cause.
And your real estate show, tell us that channel if people want to check you on YouTube, because you do some fascinating and interesting things on your YouTube channel.
Well, the best way to be able to find my channel is type in my name, Nick Sakalis, or put in the real estate plate, and you will be able to definitely find the channel. I definitely don't have a lack of opinions on the show. I definitely have a pulse on what's going on, and I'm trying to do the best I can to at least give the best kind of information in the most non-boring way.
And that is true. And he also has a series of videos, Landlords Are Human Too, and he has a YouTube channel about that name too. And so he gives us a voice, so we appreciate that. Thank you, Nick. Derek, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Lee. I'm a realtor in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for Compass. I actually was a previous housing provider, but I work with a lot of housing providers now and am very interested in supporting the cause.
Right, and he is leading our marketing efforts, and we thank him for that too. So we take help where we can find it, and we're lucky to have some very skilled people with us. And so Derek, thank you. And then speaking of skilled, our technical engineer for the night, Eddie, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you live from Long Island, New York. I used to be a building superintendent in Chinatown for almost 10 years. It was a 20-unit building. And I definitely understand a lot of what's going on from both sides as a renter and also a superintendent. I'm here to assist in this organization, the NHBC, as much as I possibly can, because we're all facing a crisis. The evictions are going to harm everyone, housing providers and the renters. So whatever I can do to help answer any questions, then the organization here as well. I'm all here for you.
Right, very good, and we thank you, Eddie. And Tim Ballering, I think he's not with us that can speak. Is that right?
Tim is
I'm
currently. Oh, he's here.
There he is.
I'm
Hey,
here.
Tim. Hey, Tim. Will you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, Tim Ballering from I'm property manager owner in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's loud where I'm at, so I will mute myself again.
Okay, very good. And Tim comes to us from Florida, and he has a special project that he started in Puerto Rico. So he covers a couple of states for us. And again, our goal is to have voices in every state, in all 50 states. And so we thank you all for being with us today. If we like to ask just a couple of housekeeping things. If you can please keep your mute button pressed, except for our speakers, of course, when they get ready to speak. And then again, in chat, you can find the links to go live on Facebook if you'd like, and on YouTube, and we're live across those. And finally, Kim is asking in chat, if you can please put your name and the state that you're in so we can see where you're from today. And what we're going to do, our format for the day is we're going to have our three speakers speak. And then at the end of all three, we're going to have questions. And Derek and Nick are going to be the ones monitoring Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom for questions, and we'll ask those questions. And so at this point, I'd like to just start out with our introductions with our speakers. The reason that we're here, and Eddie touched on it, is because the CDC eviction moratorium has devastated a lot of our businesses. We are housing providers. We use that term instead of landlords because it is more accurate and it sounds more positive. And we agreed as an alliance that we're going to call ourselves housing providers, and then the tenants would be renters, more neutral and favorable terms. And so we know that the eviction moratorium has devastated many people. There are many people here in the Midwest, I'm in Missouri and Kansas, that have lost their businesses because the government mandated that we give away our product for free and that we must rent to our neighbors for free. They broke the economy, as Roger would say, and then they asked us to fix it. They put the burden on us as housing providers to fix it. No other industry has had to give their product away free, but we have been mandated to do so. And we think that is very unacceptable. But the answer for us to address all evictions, to avoid the eviction, you get the rent paid. And you see the hashtag that Kim created for us, get the rent paid. And that's a direct answer to the tenants cancel rent hashtag campaign, because you don't have to cancel rent. You don't have to have an extended eviction moratorium if we can get the rent paid. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about tonight. And as you know, that back in December, $25 billion worth of rental assistance was passed in our country. That money is in all 50 states. The only issue is that a lot of people don't know how to access it. The Urban Institute said that I think 3/4 of the housing providers are the only ones that know about the rental assistance, and only 1/4 of renters know that it's out there. Our goal today is to change that. We want everyone to know that the rental assistance is out there, and most importantly, how to access it, which can be a mystery. So we're going to demystify that today. And we're going to start with our speakers, and we're going to set the foundation with Heiner Giese. He's an attorney and he's in Wisconsin. And if you could please introduce yourself, and then please share information about the CDC eviction moratorium and where we are with the emergency rental assistance. Heiner, welcome and thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Stacy. Hello, everyone. I'm Heiner Giese. I'm the attorney for the Apartment Association of Southeastern Wisconsin. I'm also a lobbyist for them. I'm still somewhat a landlord, have been for many years, and I've occasionally take a case in eviction court if one is interesting. I've even taken some for tenants over the years. You'll notice that in my background is sort of a plain background. What I should have done, I should have gotten one of these backgrounds with giant with ocean waves to illustrate the tsunami. You've heard that word, I'm sure, any of you that are following the eviction scene. The tsunami of evictions, which are supposedly coming, which I don't think ever really would have happened, but let's not digress into that. Let's instead talk about the tsunami of money. Seriously, folks, that's coming our way. I'll get to the CDC extension and what's maybe changed in that. Of course, that's important. I want to fill you in on that a little bit. But you think about it, you've got the 25 billion nationally. That's all been reallocated to the various states and in particular some large counties and cities around the country. However, don't forget the American Rescue Plan, the bill that was passed under the Biden administration, provides another $21 billion in rent assistance, 19.1 of which is sort of general rental assistance, and there's like a $1.5 billion special needs kind of thing. A little unclear how that's going to be distributed. That money is going to go to you folks out there in America, allocated pretty much the way the previous one was. And so, you can sort of check your own numbers in your own states, but for Wisconsin, we had $389 million, of which $322 million went to the state pot generally, and the rest of it went to, for example, the city of Milwaukee, $17 million, and the county of Milwaukee, $10 million. That's this $25 billion that's out there. And of course, when the 19 billion comes, and by the way, when is it coming? Well, the law says that 2 months after passage, which would be around May 4th, the Treasury is directed to distribute 40% of all that money to the various localities. So there's a lot of money coming. And of course, the problem is going to be a lot of localities also are slow in getting it out. We're experiencing that here in Milwaukee. We've got two different agencies handling the tenant applications and the landlord applications. And we're finding that some of them are better than others. Some of them are slower and more efficient. So again, let's be optimistic, even though the damn moratorium was extended through June. I don't think it will be extended further. I really can't imagine it will. After all, President Biden has said that by July 4th, we're going to be partying with each other right in the backyards doing our July 4th barbecues. And if we're going to do that, I don't know how they could justify extending a moratorium. So that's the good news there. So you are on track to get a lot of money. It's going to be, and for those of you that are in some of the larger, let's say Cleveland, cities like Milwaukee, some of the larger counties around the country, Kansas City area, once you've used up your own particular allocation, it's quite likely that the state should certainly then take some of the statewide money that they have and reallocate that. I've talked to Sue Brown, who is the particular division head in Wisconsin who runs the statewide program, and she's indicated that's what Governor Evers is planning on doing. That will result in, so get this, $62 million for Milwaukee County and Milwaukee City combined, just out of the first 25 billion. And of course, the next act will give us more. So you can sort of do your math, by seeing how much you've got and how much you're due to get now, and then figure 80% of that for the next passage. On to the CDC extension. What's really changed? Really nothing much. I've seen on Twitter, I've seen some grumblings by tenant advocates that they wanted it strengthened somehow. What were their goals? I think they wanted it made illegal to even give a tenant a notice of eviction notice, or like a non-payment notice. You may be evicted if you don't pay. They didn't want that. They wanted somehow tougher enforcement on landlords. Of course, there's probably been some landlords that have not followed the law properly. In my experience, and I'm looking at this, thinking of who's all on the screen here, I'm sure a lot of you have also seen a good number of tenants who have simply filed the declaration, who've had jobs, who've had partial income, and just haven't bothered to pay it. They've just relied on the get rent free card, which the CDC declaration provides them with. So what has changed? A couple of interesting things. They say now that you aren't supposed to evict anybody who's got COVID or has been exposed to COVID. that you're not supposed to evict them as a grounds of them being somehow a hazard or a danger to other tenants, which of course would normally be obviously grounds for evicting somebody in spite of the CDC declaration, because if someone's doing criminal acts or acting improperly or leaves their garbage out day and night, you could evict them for that reason. So they don't want you to do that. And they've also got, this is going to have to be hashed out. They've got something weird in the explanation of the new extension that talks about you're not supposed to be able to evict someone who's trespassing or who stays in your property after you've tried to evict them without paying. That's real unclear how that's supposed to work. I think what they were getting at is, again, those of you with experience who brought court cases know that one of the things that's been successful to do an eviction in spite of the CDC moratorium is if you have a tenant whose lease is up, when your lease is up. So you say, no, I'm going to remodel the apartment. I'm going to get a different tenant. And you have to move. Not because you're not paying, but you just have to move. Or the same thing for month-to-month things. Obviously, tenant advocates did not like that. They felt that some landlords were using it as a loophole, maybe some were, but also very validly. In fact, I just got an email today. I'm buying a property. I need to have occupancy of the apartment that I'm buying. I mean, the one unit I'm buying. Do I have to worry about the CDC moratorium? Well, yes, unfortunately you do. Even though you've got a very valid reason for moving into that property you just bought because you want to live there. If the tenant refuses to move and says, sorry, moratorium's in effect, you might be out of luck. So important point to remember is that they did not change the rule that says a landlord can't challenge the declaration. The courts have been very unsympathetic to that in Wisconsin, and I'm sure probably elsewhere or in a lot of places, but you still can use that argument. And one new tool that you have in that regard is the fact that I'm just about everybody in the country up to, $200,000 in income almost, has gotten a stimulus check. So if you do have a recalcitrant tenant, especially someone who you think is sort of playing the game, if you do have to evict them, I think you've got a very good argument that, Judge, this tenant's, it's a family of four. They aren't paying, you haven't paid me any rent for 3 months. They just got a check for $5,600. And unless you tell them that they've got to pay some of that money towards rent, I think an eviction is justified. So those are some of the aspects that I guess I've wanted to cover here. One final quick thing. The White House put out a fact sheet on the new law. And there's something disturbing in there. It doesn't have the force of law, of course. It's just some White House press person saying it. But there's a statement in there that says that implies that if you give someone a notice that they're going to be evicted because they haven't paid, you're supposed to tell them about the ability to file the CDC declaration. That's not in the CDC rules, but that's something the White House has said. So where do we go with that? That's sort of an open question. I guess I've used up a bit of my time here. So, and of course, we'll look for questions later on. Thank you.
Heiner, thank you so much. And I just wanted to say we're lucky to have you with us. Like Tim says, you know more about the eviction moratorium, the CDC eviction moratorium than most. So we're lucky to have you as an expert sharing expertise with us. And you're very knowledgeable and keep close track of the emergency rental assistance as we could hear from you. So we're lucky to have you. And thank you very much for being willing to share your knowledge with us, especially as an attorney. That's really important in this day and age. So we thank you. Our next speaker is Roger Valdez with the Seattle for Growth, which is another expert in his area. And so I will turn it over to you, Roger. If you could please introduce yourself, and if you need to share your screen, please feel free to do so. And thank you and welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Roger Valdez. I'm director of Seattle for Growth and also of the Center for Housing Economics. And I just wanted to let you know that we did a 3-part training in February on communications, specifically on communicating with the media and elected officials and with the public. And if you want to access those recordings, let me know. Or if you're interested in we may be doing another follow up to that training, please get in touch with me, and I can let you know what that how to access those. That was a very, I think, useful training that we did, and sort of getting everybody on the same page in terms of getting your message straight and talking to the press and media, particularly now at this time when it's very important that we start to change the narrative. And my email is I just put it in the chat. So if you want to get in touch with me and we can talk about that training, I would love to help out your organizations if we can. And we're going to continue to do those sorts of things into the future. I'm going to talk about the rent relief program, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of, I'm going to see if I can share my screen now. If there, so the Center for Housing Economics advocates for an efficient housing market that provides abundant housing everywhere for people of all levels of income. And the main things that we want to focus on as we grow the organization is getting better data out into the world. I was noted to Tim that he does a great job of compiling a lot of articles that contain a lot of misinformation and a lot of inaccurate stuff that's out there that's being said about the real estate market, about housing, rental housing, about what it takes to do an eviction, how many evictions there are. And what we are endeavoring to do is to create sort of a continual kind of a war room that would continually counter those things and put out real information. And then obviously put out our own data that gets in front of some of these stories. And then, obviously offering better ideas, like rent relief instead of eviction bans. And then the training was about changing the narrative, changing the focus to substantive things that can actually help people that are struggling to pay rent rather than punitive measures against housing providers. So, the rent relief package that passed last December was $25 billion. It was allocated, and it is payable to housing providers. We had the good fortune to spend a lot of time on the phone in the last couple of years with Senator Portman's office from Ohio. And one of the things that happened out of that negotiation when they were putting that together is that the relief is payable to housing providers. A lot of the rest of the money was not, it was being paid to the residents or the tenants. And that was a problem, first because the tenants had to apply, but then oftentimes they'd get the money themselves. And the issue was, are they going to use that to pay rent? And so this not only assured that some of it ensures that you're going to get paid if the money gets where it's supposed to go, but it also means that it loops you into the process. And so it gives, in order for the rent to get paid, they're going to have to involve and talk with housing providers. Right now, the way that this is being set up is that states are sending this money to local governments in most cases, and then local governments are contracting with nonprofits. I just discovered today that in Indiana, the state of Indiana is running a program that is more direct. It's not, they're not running it through nonprofits necessarily. You as a housing provider or as a tenant can apply directly to the state. But that's one of the first ones I've seen out of all 50 states that actually has set up a program with what's called the TRAP money. And that money from the December package is the $25 billion. Now, a lot of the other money that was out before has already been spent. That was the CARES Act money. So what's going to be really important for you to do as soon as you can is to find out what your state is doing and figure out what their plan and what their approach is going to be, because it's going to be different in every single state. And in many cases, it's going to be county by county. I also spoke today with some folks in Snohomish County who are nonprofit housing. It's a nonprofit housing agency, and they have not seen any money at all from the $25 billion from the $500+ million that was allocated to the state of Washington. Same thing with Pierce County to the south of Seattle. And so across the country, what we're seeing is a lot of this money is still hung up in the process. And so the sooner you can sort of find out how they're distributing that, the sooner you can begin to advocate either at the state or the county level in terms of how that money is going to be divided up and distributed. They're supposed to distribute 90% of it to rent relief, but some of them are construing that very broadly, and they're looking at targeting it for things like diversity and targeting previously discriminated folks, and trying to solve some of those social problems rather than just paying the outstanding rent. And the other part of it that's difficult is that there isn't really a good assessment across the country or even state by state about how much is actually out there that's unpaid. My guess is, based on our early analysis last year, is that the 25 billion is probably enough to take care of the problem. But right now, the issue is getting the resources where they're supposed to go. And that is really what you need to be advocating for at your state level, is, letting them know, just pay the rent. One of the things we ran into that Snohomish County was telling me they're running into is what's called ROI, which is it's I'm forgetting now, the blanking on what it stands for, but it's basically a release of information. Sorry. ROI is release of information, not return on investment, but I wish it was ROI, but it's so ROI is apparently being required by some states and by some nonprofits, requiring that in order for the information about the back rent and about the COVID status and some of the other requirements, that the resident has to sign over a release of information. And as you know, many of the residents are not cooperative, or they're afraid, or it's difficult to get a hold of them, or they don't have access to computers. So you need to work on that process locally, because, like I said, it's going to vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So you need to find out how they're allocating that. And then you need to advocate for electronic transfers, the Hawaii model that we shared a few months back, where the transfers would take place using something like bill.com or some other online platform that would just transfer the money directly to your account. What Hawaii found was, with hard checks, oftentimes the information is wrong, and there were a lot of checks that got misdirected in the mail or went to the wrong address. So the degree to which it can be an electronic transfer is something else you need to advocate for. Something we've pushed for locally and everywhere that every group we've talked to, is something that's more like the Payroll Protection Program. And we've called it the Rent Assistance Advance Program, or the RAP program. And what the idea is that you'd use banks and credit unions that would immediately fund your rent relief. And then those organizations, the banks and the credit unions, would work with the state or the local funder to get the ROI, to get the tenant qualified, and get all that information together. And then that would prevent, someone was asking about, how do you prevent a tenant from walking away from their unpaid rent? Well, right now, that's the urgency with getting this money, because right now, if someone's looking at $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 in unpaid rent, they're very highly motivated to just pack up and move away and go someplace else. And what we're seeing is a lot of states are passing legislation that does not allow you to deny a tenancy to someone based on their tenancy during the COVID crisis, whether they were evicted or they didn't pay. You still have to rent to them. You can't deny them on that basis. So it's really essential and urgent that you get on that. And to the extent that you can, talk to your bank or credit union, if you're a big customer for a bank, or your association has a good relationship with the lender, I'm happy to meet with them and talk about this idea. We had a credit union that was interested in it. It's not going to be easy to convince them, but if we can find one in the country that will work with us on this, I think it would set a very good precedent. So that's my information now. I'm glad to take questions when it's appropriate, but again, this is going to be, the good news is there's 25 billion. The bad news is government is in charge of distributing it. And so it's going to be up to us individually in each area to go after that money and make sure it gets where it's supposed to go. So I'll stop there.
Roger, thank you so much. And so again, our theme for the day is empowering us to do what we need to do. We don't just wait for the government to share the details about the rental assistance programs, but like Roger said, we will ask the questions. And if you go to your state agency in Missouri, I went to our state treasurer and said, who has the money? And we worked our way down from there. And speaking of Missouri and being empowered, that's my dog, I apologize. We have taken it into our own hands to do that in the Kansas City area. And this time our example is Kim Tucker is going to share with you what we did as housing providers. Kim, if you could please take over.
All right, let's see if I can share my screen. All right, Zoom went everywhere else. So can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes and yes.
All right, cool. Well, first I want to thank Stacy for all of her efforts. She is a woman that will not say no. And over the past 3 years, she has brought the whole entire Kansas City metro area together. So when I talk to other cities, they're like, how are you doing what you're doing in Kansas City? And I said, we have the real estate investors, the various groups and meetups that are all competition, all of the landlord groups, all of the realtor groups, all the property manager groups, and all of the apartment owner association groups. We are all working together on the same message, dealing with our city and the rental housing issues as a whole, as a group. So we're not all out there fighting a different war or 20 different wars. We're all on the same page. So I want to thank Stacy for all of her efforts, and I'm hoping that with Stacy's pushing, we'll be able to bring all of that across the nation. So tonight I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about changing the narrative and share an example. And I wanted first to define that who are we as industry leaders, because a lot of people think, oh, just a RIA group, so that's all it's going to be interested in doing what we're talking about, or just a landlord group. But anybody that is in the industry, from home builders, our contractors need to be on board. Also, our industry educators. So if you are a guru out there teaching how to do something in the industry, you are an influencer, you're an educator, we would love to have you on board. And then any advocates within our industry or even outside of our industry that can help, that would have a stake in there. These are all the people that I think should be on board. And I was at a national group leader. We were talking, why do we want to do advocacy at our groups? One, it's a thing we should be doing because it helps our industry. That's what our group is for. But does it pay the bills? No, not really. But in a way it does, because my husband's always asked me, why am I working on this? That's not putting money in our pocket. Why are we doing this? It's not sexy. So I wanted to take a look at some things here. If I can get it to go here. I don't know if you've been on some of the RIA groups out there, but they're going to say, oh, as featured by the Sportsman's Guide or Examiner or Kiplinger. Or if you can put on your website that you or your association was in partnership, and these are local to Kansas City. So our land bank, they have all the vacant houses. United Way, Landlord Tenant University, it's an organization our city put on. Missouri Housing Development Corporation, they are distributing our money. Being able to put that on your RIA group, your landlord group, or if you're a guru on your webpage, that builds credibility for you and what you're doing. Or if you are wanting to say you were on the news or in the Washington Post and doing what we're talking about tonight, having an outreach event to help your community will help you, your RIA, build credibility and get community leaders reaching out to you and getting media to reach out to you. Because I've been running a RIA and I've been a real estate investor for over 20 years, and I've been running a RIA for a little over about 18 years. And I have never, ever had the news call me and say, hey, what do you think about this? But since we've started doing these outreach programs, not that I really want to be on the news, but they are calling me saying, what is your opinion about this? I have had local officials, what is your opinion about this? So that builds credibility for me and my RIA group. So yes, does it put money on the table? Indirectly it does, because people find you because you're doing outreach. So just to give you some background there of why you might want to do it. And some of the activities that you might want to use to change the narrative. So tonight, I'm going to talk about our events that we've done around rental assistance programs and the eviction moratorium. But that's that's right now. What are you going to do next year when we're not fighting the CDC eviction moratorium? What's some other things you could talk about and do outreach? Last summer, Stacy and I partnered and we did a career fair to help bring jobs to our renters, to our members. And in my thought was I wanted to get more people. We not only had jobs, we had training. So I wanted to get more people in the industry learning about the different building trades that we needed so we could keep the building trades going. Several years ago, you remember when they changed the lead safe work practices, we did an outreach program through our organization to train our members and to bring the community, make them aware of the law change. You could also do around credit, financing, budgeting, just creative. There's a lot of different things you can do for outreach. And I'm sure there'll be a new issue in 6 months, a year, 5 years. So our event was based on getting the rent paid. So let's take a little bit a look of our example around. I'm going to talk about our example rental assistance. First, we're going to find out who has the money and how to reach out to them. Schedule an event. We're going to make sure we're keeping it positive and on point. And then we're going to make sure it's about helping the renter in the community. And we're going to market it everywhere and partner with everyone. So I'll go through that a little bit. Our event had its home at kcregionalhousingalliance.org. We put a little slash on there and put help. If you're ever going to create a website, do not make it that long. We're crazy. Shorten it, make it short. But that was our mouthful. That's where we sent them to. That's where we promoted the event. That's where we recognized our sponsors. And then after the event, that's where all of our replays went, all of our resource links, all of our contacts went. So we had a place to send people. We also created the Together We Can hashtag and the Get the Rent Paid hashtag. We weren't very good at making sure to use that, but the media picked up on it and they used it in all of their posts. So use a hashtag that you can use. If you're going to do the same thing we did, use those. We love it. Next, we want to find out who has the money and contact them. And that is going to vary from state to state. National RIA shared with us this company, ncsha.org. If you wanted to write down that link or come back and watch the replay, you can get it. But ncsha.org/emergency housing assistance with dashes. They have a list of all of the providers for the federal funds nationwide. And the last time I looked, every state should have a program currently running except for like 4. And I think like Texas, Florida. All right, take pictures of it. Smart people. I see some people taking pictures. That way you get your links. But they have a list of what the organizations are providing the rental assistance. So that's a good resource. And reaching out to those people takes a little bit of work. And I got some insight into it. A friend of mine who works for Amazon Cloud Services, and she says the states and these organizations providing the services do not have the staff to do what they're being asked to do. They don't have the phone lines, the answering systems. They don't have the websites. They are building them right now as they're using them for many of the states. So you're going to have to be a little persistent because they just can't quite handle everything that's coming in their offices. For me, when I reached out to our local state organizations, their websites did not have phone numbers, and you're going to find that they don't have phone numbers. There's nobody to answer the phone, so they don't put out a phone number. But they do have a contact form. Fill out that contact form, sign up for their newsletters, anything on their website that you can find to get to them, use that. Reach out to local city officials, see if they have contacts. Stacy made contact with a few of the local people because she knew the city people. I was just lucky and got the state people to email me back. I also tried other phone numbers, but that's one way. Just be persistent. They'll eventually get back with you so that you can ask questions. My approach with them was that I am in the industry. I am helping my landlords and my housing providers provide this information to the renters. Tell me how I can get your information to them better. And I'm getting a lot of questions. Here they are. Help me answer them. So that's some of the things we did to get to the people with the money and get them to contact us back. Then the next thing we wanted to do was start promoting whatever that topic was. So we did several different things over, we probably started in November. So at my organization, Mary, we started with just doing a blog post around the various different programs. So we had CARES Act programs back then. I did a blog post around each one of those. We were also working on taking every one of those and doing just a short 20-minute podcast or video, Zoom event, whatever, with each one. At the same time, Stacy at Landlords Inc. partnered with KC Regional Housing Alliance, and they did an all-inclusive event of all of the organizations before Christmas on CARES Act funding. And then that culminated in our event we had, I think, March 19th, with all of the organizations doing the latest round of stimulus money. And we got everybody on board to share how it works, how to get in touch, take a few questions. About the time we started doing these mini events and the videos, and Stacy did her event with Landlords Inc., that's when all of the media started taking notice and contacting us. Stacy's even getting national contacts. She's getting contacts from CNN and just national news organizations are reaching out wanting information. Our event on the 19th, I was searching the Get the Rent Paid hashtag today. It was on UK's Yahoo news page. I don't know why we're in the UK, but we made the UK news on Yahoo. So what to include or who to include in your event. So we first started out with a general clearinghouse because not everybody's going to know how to figure out where they need to go. And for most areas, United Way's 211 will help them. That your people can dial 211 on the phone, or they can go to 211.org and United Way will direct them to the best assistance. It doesn't work everywhere, so test it out. That's who we partnered with because they were a general clearinghouse for all types of assistance, not just rental housing. Then we reached out to the organizations administering our state programs. For us, that was in Kansas and Missouri. We also have several states that had several cities that got their own money because they were a large enough population, Kansas City, Missouri being one. So we asked them to join us. And we also reached out to charity groups and the library because all these people are trying to fill out their whatever on a cell phone, and all the organizations that we talked to said, can't use a cell phone to fill out these forms. So the people that don't have have computer or internet access, like your renters, are going to have to go to the library, or there's a lot of local charity groups here in Kansas City that are willing to bring people into their offices so that they can sit down and fill out applications. We got some of those groups to join us and share their information. We also had a few other community services that helped us share our information, like a local food bank, a person that provides food across the city. He was on there. And we just invited all of them to join us. And we also invited all the local group leaders and industry groups to also co-sponsor it. So we made a little flyer, and for every group that was co-sponsoring, we changed out a logo so they could send it out to their email list. One thing we wanted to make sure, and as Roger's class taught us, keep it positive, keep it about who you're helping, and no one cares about the poor housing provider, so don't whine about it. We don't care. We're just trying to get the rent paid. We don't want to sound whiny, so if you're not really sure how to put your message out and you didn't take Roger's communications class, I would check into his communication class because it was very well put together to help you formulate your message. We also reached out to get partners. As I said earlier, Stacy brought together everybody in the Kansas City metro area, so everybody was sharing this. We were also working with libraries, food pantries, all the people that were presenting, they were also sharing our event. And we really, I wanted to get the mayor on board, but we couldn't quite get him on board, but I'm pretty sure if we could have, he would have tweeted it out. We would have reached a lot more renters that way. But unfortunately, he is too tightly connected to our local tenant advocacy group, so he couldn't help us out. as they say they own him. So our entire message, and I can't spell entire, was together we can get the rent paid. It helps everyone, the renter, the housing provider, and the community. We didn't talk about we're not getting our rent and we're going to get floor closed on tomorrow. We were just about getting the rent paid to help everybody. Our marketing efforts, we started with our website as a place to post it. We used press releases to the media and the officials. We made lots of phone calls and emails. Stacy made lots of phone calls and emails to follow up with the media and officials. We created a Facebook event, which makes it easy to share across Facebook to different groups and organizations. We use posts, Twitter posts, and we also had the industry leaders sharing with their connections. We also sent out the press releases and invites to all of our email list, which if you combined all of our groups was pretty much every housing provider in the city that was connected to somebody got an email and asked to join us. What were our results? And I just checked today. We had 305 participants that logged in on Zoom. How we did that, I'm not sure because we can only have 300. Facebook said we had the video viewed 1,300 times. I can't spell viewed either. But out of that 1.3K, we really had 441 people that actually engaged with the video and watched more than just clicked on it and saw 2 seconds. YouTube has been viewed 144 times. I did a Google of our hashtag that I could find, and it was mentioned on 8 media outlets, and it was picked up by Yahoo News. So Yahoo News, whenever they would post another story, it would be over here on the sidelines. So people were seeing it over and over. And what I'm enjoying is the after effect. We're getting lots and lots of questions and engaging through all of these places it's post. People are asking questions, and we're able to take those questions that are people that are struggling with the program not working, so that we can take that information and get it back to the different resources and say, hey, this is breaking down. People can't reach you here, or the form isn't working here. Or we just had yesterday, somebody at United Way told them that they couldn't get any rental assistance unless they were being officially evicted, which was totally false. So we were able to get that to United Way so that they could correct the person answering the phone. So that's one thing we're doing, is we're at least telling them where the holes are in their system so they can get fixed. And some of the tools we used, if you really wanted to see, our technology is not the greatest, but we're working on it. You may have something better, and we would love input. We used Eventbrite for signups. We used MailChimp to send out our emails, and we're also collecting emails there. We used Zoom meeting for our hosts and speakers. We streamed live to Facebook and YouTube using Restream. And we have staff watching Facebook and YouTube to bring the questions back from Zoom and chat. And we try to make sure we use our hashtag on every post so that everybody would use it and be able to find us. And if you had any questions beyond this evening, you can always reach out to me on email. I'll be glad to help you out there. And that's pretty much all I had.
All right, that's a lot. And that is us being empowered. And that's our goal today, is to empower you to do what you need to do. We don't wait for anyone to, share the information with us for it to trickle down to us. We go after it. And Kim, thank you so much. And Kim, very aggressive. And like she said, we reached a lot of people. And I'd like to share, I'm going to turn this over to Derek and to Nick to take questions, to call the questions out of chat. Our goal was to end at 7 o'clock. And if you could please work with us, we're going to go a little bit over that. I'm sorry, I'm going to make it audible here, just a little over that so we can get those questions answered. But one thing I'd like to share with you, and Roger kind of hinted toward this as well, that we have to help them create the guidelines and the programs too. We helped the United Way before they lost the CARES Act funding last year. They thought they were going to run out of it. He said, we're going to have to send it back to the federal government. They worked with us one-on-one in creating a streamlined application. And in less than 2 weeks, we helped him get $150,000 of rental assistance into the community that if he didn't work directly with us, would never have happened. And so a lot of people were able to get assistance because we were proactive. And then an update too on the media. I just had a reporter from the Wall Street Journal reach out to me. He wants to tell the story from our side because he thinks there's a story there. So changing the narrative, Roger, is working. And also wanted to share that the media too, the CNN, Kim mentioned, my sister Tracy, who's on here, the safety lady, she said, Stacy, they're telling a story about renters being evicted. I found the reporter and sent a message by Twitter. She replied, and then she told our story from our angle. So we're able to pitch. Any of us can do that at any time. When you see stories, reach the reporter. And I actually, we all read things. And so I reach out to reporters that I see and say, can you please tell another side of the story? More often than not, they will, because they want a good story. And they're, I think, getting tired of the renter story. And so anyway, before we turn over to questions, I just wanted to acknowledge two more people that are here with us. That Stacy, I did not see you earlier. If you would please introduce yourself. She worked with us to plan this event. Stacy, please introduce yourself if you would.
Hey everyone, I'm Stacy Lucky. I'm a small housing provider out of Butler County, Ohio. I belong to the Butler County, Greater Cincinnati, and Ohio Investors Associations, and glad to be part of this this movement. So thanks, Stacy, for and Kim and everybody else for putting this together. It's been great.
And Stacy's, you guys are going to do the same. You're going to do an event yourselves too.
Correct. Yeah, we have an event coming up in May. Correct. Yes.
Let's do them across the country, guys. Let's do this and get the word out about the rental assistance. It helps our peers preserve their investment, and it helps our tenants stay sheltered, and it helps our community by keeping these properties in inventory so that we don't lose them to bankruptcy, foreclosure, or out-of-town investors who won't take care of them like we do, or that they won't be sitting vacant. Also, Alicia Ortiz, are you here? If you could please say hi. You are part of our team as well. Please introduce yourself if you would.
Hi, my name's Alicia Ortiz, and I am from Indiana. I work with Indiana State RIA, and we're a lobbying group, and I'm also on the board of directors. And I actively support this movement, and I am very thankful that people are getting together to be a part of it because we need a voice.
And thank you for saying that. And that's my reminder too, that on our website, NHPC, National Housing Providers Coalition.org, there's a contact form there. We need you. We need voices in all 50 states, and we're in the beginning stages. This is our first event. And so as I turn it over, I'm going to ask if you would in chat, if you have any ideas for topics that we need to share the next time, and if any idea about frequency, if it's every month, every other month, every quarter, please share that as well. But if you'll get into chat, and please share that with us as we get questions, because we're going to do this again, and we are here to stay, and we need to build across the country. We need your help, and we need your voice. And so Derek and Nick, at this time, I'll turn it over to you for questions for our panelists. And I saw that we had a lot of good ones in there.
Nick, I'll jump in. There was a question from Donna in Washington. And Carl also has a similar question. Heiner, I think you could probably lend an answer to this the best. Is there a way landlords can get unpaid rent after a tenant leaves, especially if they're dealing with tenants that are uncooperative?
It depends on your local agency that's administering the money. One agency in Wisconsin has indicated that they would consider that. You'll still need the tenant's cooperation even after they left. And the way you do that is point out to them that this will help them with their credit rating and resolve a debt that they owe. So it's not going to work in too many places, I think, but you can try locally.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Isabel Lewis. This is probably for Heiner or Roger. Is there any information published that shows you how to challenge the declaration?
That'll vary on according to your local court practice. In Milwaukee County, for example, the judges make it harder for landlords to challenge by requiring them to file a separate motion saying, I hereby challenge the CDC declaration. They don't let them just say it in court when they appear in small claims court, eviction court. So that's going to just vary a lot around the country, I'm afraid. And you have to talk to some local attorneys to find out what's happening in your jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Maria Stephanie. Heiner, I believe this is coming to you as well. If we get money for from rent relief, does this mean the eviction won't be processed? There's more to this question. I'm sorry, Heiner. This tenant wasn't paying way before, and her eviction was in the works in September of 2019.
Well, generally, again, that'll vary somewhat locally. But of course, if you're going to get money from the past for rent arrears, then you won't be able to evict them. And typically, some jurisdictions have limits on how much you can get. They may tie it, for example, to the housing choice voucher limit. 2-bedroom, you can't get more than $1,100 a month. And if you happen to be charging $1,200 a month, you're not going to get all of your arrears. But you will, as a condition of taking most of the money, have to agree not to evict them for the money that's past due. That should not legally prevent you from then evicting them in the future as months go on and perhaps they don't pay again. But some of the tenant advocates and agencies are trying to also prohibit you from evicting going forward, which I don't think is legal, but they're trying it.
All right, thank you. And we have one more question. Daniel Apple has asked, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name, Daniel. What role do you see National RIA playing here? I guess that would be for you, Kim.
What I have been seeing with National RIA has been, they have been working in the background, lobbying in Washington to get these programs out to us. So I know they have been, they were lobbying on behalf of getting rental assistance programs. And I know they're also there's a lot of other little things that are out there. If you go to the National RIA YouTube page, they have a monthly meeting with what they are working on at the federal level. And I missed last month, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but they are working more at the federal level, like the National Association of Realtors is working at the federal level. We're taking the stance that we are the grassroots and we are working at the people level. So what we're dealing directly with the renters, we're dealing directly with our local officials, while National RIA is dealing at the federal level. Hope that makes sense to everybody.
Thanks, Kim. Nick, did you have any other questions? There's a couple more coming in, but I need to pull them.
I think you got just about everything. I'm seeing the other ones coming in as right now as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get any that came in from YouTube, but that means that everybody here on Zoom is putting in the questions through this platform. It's nice to see that everybody has a lot of interaction on the chat as well. It looks like a lot of questions have been kind of counter answered through the other chat members as well. So that's a really nice thing. That we have a lot of activity happening as well. But let me see. I believe that you got just about everything. Do you see anything else coming up, Derek?
I think I see one more here. Teresa Carrillo asked, I have tenants not paying rent for 3 months due to losing job. One of the household members losing the job. The rental assistance has limits on the annual gross income of the household and therefore can't qualify for the state federal fund assistance, nor can they be evicted. So I guess the question is there anything that Teresa can do? Heiner, this would be directed to you to get unstuck.
Yeah, I actually typed an answer to Teresa's question. I didn't quite understand it because if they're supposed to be paying partial rent, so if one person isn't earning or doesn't qualify, then they should pay partial rent. I might also pick up on while I'm seeing it here. There's a question about landlords applying. That is allowed under the $25 billion plan. A lot of states and localities are not favoring that. In Wisconsin, a lot of areas are really only letting the tenant apply instead of letting the landlord initiate the application. If your agency will let you initiate the application, don't forget that you need to get the tenant's consent. So the best way to get your money is to actually call your tenant, see your tenant, email with your tenant, and get the application in and have them join in the application with an email or with some kind of written document that says, I hereby consent to my landlord's application for the 3 months of past rent that I owe, something to that effect.
Thank you. That's all we have right now for questions, Stacy.
We actually have one more from Carl Hageland. We have tenants who have refused to cooperate with us and have nonprofits pay for their rent. What can we do when a tenant has not paid the rent for over a year and refuses to cooperate with us or the nonprofit? Good question.
Yeah, I could pipe in on that one too. And again, this is unfortunately, maybe your local jurisdiction isn't that sympathetic to you. I actually won an eviction, got an eviction where the tenant had filed the CDC declaration, but then just let the whole thing slide. And I introduced in court an email from the tenant advocacy group that said, yes, Jane applied for us a couple months ago, and we've contacted her several times, and we just haven't heard from her again. And the judge had to admit that this tenant was not, fulfilling their obligation to apply for government assistance, and therefore the eviction was proper. So all I can say is you've got to hope that you could, convince your local court or jurisdiction to accept that argument.
And I would say hire a good local eviction attorney, because our eviction attorneys here in Kansas City are still proceeding with evictions, and they are challenging the CDC declaration, making them prove that they actually qualify for the declaration and aren't just not paying rent. And so they have had successes, and they have gotten houses back. So there are evictions still happening, but you're not going to get that done in court by yourself, nor should you want to try it by yourself. You need an attorney on your side, because if you violate the CDC eviction moratorium rules, then you're going to have fines coming back on yourself. So make sure you're working with your local attorneys.
And just to piggyback what you just mentioned, Kim, especially in states like New York, you're not doing yourself any service by not getting an attorney to advise you, especially on these type of situations. And we have one last question. Is there a time limit for how many months a housing provider / renter can seek financial assistance for?
And the federal legislation doesn't have one, except it's actually doesn't expire until the end of the third quarter of 2022. So it actually does allow also for rent to be paid in advance. In other words, not in advance, but future rent. It's not just back rent. So states can actually have that money in reserve for any future lockdown or any future problems associated with this mess. But it's also going to vary by state. And again, it's another reason to engage with those local organizations in your state, because the way they're going to do that is going to be different. But the good news is that this money is going to last until the third quarter of 2022.
Yeah, I think there is somewhere an ultimate limit of 18 months. So you can go back to the beginning of the pandemic, March of 2020, and you can get, under this bill, you can get forward rent of 3 months at a time if the tenant continues to be needy with respect to what they need. And then, Stacy, if I might, I think we have to go pretty soon, but I really wanted to pick on something important that Roger has. I think, Roger, you had it in your, perhaps in your blog or in your Forbes article, and that is all of us should really be watching what's going to happen with this money. As Roger pointed out, Seattle, state of Washington, has got funny ideas about where else they might use this money rather than for the relief of tenants and landlords. And so it behooves us all to contact our state legislators to find out, and our state administrators who are handling this, and to find out from them, okay, you've got this money, you're sort of doling it out now. When you've got some left over, where's it going to go? Or I do hope you're allocating this all appropriately for actual rent relief, and not with some other pie in the sky ideas about how you might, quote, improve housing.
I have one for you, Heiner. How about this? In our city, our mayor, and I'm laughing because if you don't laugh, you cry. Our activists, our local tenant activist group, the mayor, the money that they came in to us, they're using to actually fund the Office of the Tenant Advocate based on our KC tenants appeal and asking for an office of the tenant advocate. And we're using our taxpayer dollars to fund that. And so this office will be collecting grievances against housing providers. Instead of using that $1 million to help with the people who need funding for utility, rental assistance, or even mortgage assistance, we're going to be paying people to take complaints against landlords. That's the city we worked in. Kim talked about our mayor earlier. And so we're fighting against a tenant group that has the mayor sit in on their meetings once a month and brags about it on Facebook, on social media. And so that is the challenge that we're in. We're kind of fighting against our own, but we are aggressively doing it. And we do have some payoff to that. And as we're about to wrap up, I just wanted to share some of the states that we have with us today. We had Kansas represented through me and Missouri, California, Washington, Massachusetts. We have Ohio, Wisconsin, New York, Indiana, and I'm sure in Ohio, I think I said that, I may be missing some, but we thank you all for being with us today. I'm going to ask all of our speakers as we get real close to time. And for this being our first one, we're trying to keep it tight, but all of our speakers to just say final few words as we wrap up. And we will be back. I didn't see too many notes in the comments about what else is helpful to have or what else you need to hear about that you may not be hearing anywhere else. But if anyone has thoughts or ideas, I also put my name and number and email address in the chat as well. We need ideas because we need to come back, and we know that there is a need to have us here and to have a voice for the independent housing providers in our country on a national basis, because we do not have it today and we need it. And Heiner told us that there is not only the eviction tsunami is not going to happen, but there is a tsunami of funding. There are billions of dollars in this country. Let's get them into the hands of those that need them. If it's here, we may need to reach up and grab them and bring them in to our states and make the efforts that they won't make, but we need to do that. And then Roger and Kim both said we need to change the narrative. Roger's giving us the tools through his training to change the narrative through the media. And then Kim is giving us the tools to do it through our actions. And then, like she said, the media attention will follow. They reach us, we reach them. And when we reach them now, they hear our stories. And so I think things are turning around with the money here. We don't need the eviction assistance. I think my next thing is to say that to our elected officials, because we meet with our senators, our state reps, our federal Congress people, senators. We meet locally with our council members, and we actually meet with our mayor. And so we do meet with them regularly, so they know we're out here and we're pushing for eviction assistance and things to help preserve the housing units in our industry and to keep us in business, as well as keep the tenants housed. So as we wrap up here, I'd like to ask our three speakers just to take a few moments, if you would, just final wrap up thoughts, and then we're going to be done. And we're going to get this recording, make it available on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page. It's there as well. And so let's start with Roger, if you would.
Thanks, Stacey, and thanks everybody for being here tonight. Everything that has been said here is really important, and I would just emphasize again that you get on the idea of that you jump on those state and local officials and try to find out exactly how they're going to operate this program, so that you're not losing out on the resources. And please email me if you want to access the training. If you were not able to attend it, we have available if you want to watch the previous one, and we're also looking at if I get enough requests for it sometime in the third week of April or so, doing an additional training so we can start to talk about how to communicate effectively. In fact, I just got a call from someone in Indiana today that hopefully their interview is going to be on Fox on one of the affiliates there tonight. And so I'm available through that training process to kind of help you as you get those opportunities. And so, yeah, I just put my email in there again, and just contact me when you can and let me know if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim?
First, I wanted to share a conversation I had with a local reporter. I asked him why the media does not share our side of the story. And the biggest reason that I see that he had, that at least in Kansas City, they aren't sharing our side of the story, is that we're not doing anything newsworthy to share a story about. Our tenants are chaining themselves to the courthouse. They're all wearing the same shorts and getting billboards and chanting and walking up and down. And so they're flashy, they're good news. We don't make good press because we're just going about our business. So the only way that they're going to know that we're out here doing something to help people is if something good happens within your city, some housing provider does something great, or some renter gets help, some person becomes a homeowner. You build a house for your Habitat for Humanity. My Ohio people, I know you're giving away a house a year through Habitat for Humanity. I know a lot of RIAs buy a house, rehab it, and give it away. That is good press. Make sure you share that with your media so that they know you're there and that you're doing other things. They need it from you. And the other thing is we need to work together nationally, share our successes and our failures and how we do things. For example, we have a new ordinance that just happened in Kansas City that I know that I believe Cleveland, Ohio struck down, and a few other cities in Ohio struck down on inspecting houses before they get sold, and the inspecting and repairing houses before they get sold. So that is a good area where we haven't had that here in Kansas City. We need to see how the people that defeated that law in Ohio did that, and we can compare notes and do the same thing here. So if we all work together, share our information, we can help stop a lot of stuff without having to reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. And thanks for joining us tonight.
And thank you, Kim, too. And then knowing that the event that we did around this event that Kim talked about, that got us on a couple of news stations and some newspapers as well. They covered that event. So when you do this event to share information with your peers about how to access the rental assistance, that is newsworthy. And so again, Kim, thank you very much. Heiner, we will finish with you as we started, and we thank you for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Stacy. Glad to participate. Yeah, picking up on what Kim said, here's a new thought for you. Kansas City is probably a lost cause because from what you read about them, they basically want to tear down the capitalist system. There are cohorts in Milwaukee who aren't nearly as strong, luckily. His famous quote that I heard and have on video is, landlords don't add value, workers add value. So that gives you an idea of where they're at. That being said, I think it behooves you to reach out to your local tenant advocate agencies, reach out to the legal aid, the legal action groups, in connection with all this money that's out there now that's going to help all of us, and explore with them how you can work together to try to get it administered in a beneficial manner.
Very good advice. And so we thank you, Heiner, Kim, and Roger, all of our speakers in the committee, and then our engineer, our technical engineer, Eddie, sitting there with his headphones on in New York. We thank you so much for behind the scenes running everything for us. And Kim pitched in and helped us to figure out a lot of the technical things too. And to the rest of our committee, Derek and Nick with the questions, and then Stacy and Tim, thank you all. And we're going to end it here. It's still kind of light out. We still have sunshine in Kansas City, so I'm about to run and get dinner while it's still light out. And so anyway, we thank you all. We will be back, and we will reach out to you when we have our next event. And if in the meantime, if you have any questions for us, please reach us. Our numbers, our contact information is in chat. This recording will be available, and we will share information with you. This recording, I think we'll probably email it or find it on our Facebook page and on our website, and we'll be back again. Thank you all. And visit our website and please share your information there so we know how to find you. Bye. Look at Steve waving. Bye. Bye, Alicia. Bye, Heiner. Bye, everyone.
Before we sign off, thank you, Stacy. Without you, we wouldn't have this happening.
Well, it's a good team. We have an excellent team. So thank you, Nick. Thank you all. Thank you. And good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.